I'd like to call this meeting of the Person County Board of County Commissioners to order. If I could get Commissioner Powell to say our invocation, please.
Would you pray with me, please? Merciful God and Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for the gifts of the opportunity to assemble here this morning. We pray your guidance in all that we do, all that we say, and all that we accomplish. May it be within your will and in best interests of the people of Person County. And we thank you for our men and women who are in harm's way today, defending our right to assemble, our right to worship. And we ask your blessings again on this assembly. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Let us stand. Pledge the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Are there any adjustments of the agenda? Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, what's the pleasure of the board?
Move for approval.
There's a motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. Item number 1, resolution of appreciation. Ms. Hughes, if you would step forward, please. Resolution of appreciation. Whereas Elaine Hughes has served the people of Person County during her tenure as a process and unit supervisor at the Department of Social Services, and whereas Elaine Hughes has served the citizens of Person County with honor, integrity, sincerity, and dedication, providing accurate, concise services for 8 years, October 2009 to September 2017, and whereas Elaine Hughes has earned the respect and admiration of all who have known her and worked with her throughout her career, and whereas the Person County of Person recognizes the many contributions of Elaine Hughes has made to the county and offers her sincere best wishes for her retirement. Now, therefore, I, Tracy Kendrick, Chairman of the Person County Board of Commissioners, do hereby extend this resolution of appreciation to Elaine Hughes for continually striving to make Roxboro and Person County a better place to live and work. Adopted this day, the 16th day of October 2017. Thank you.
Thank you.
Say something.
Congratulations. Yeah, congratulations.
Congratulations. Thank you.
I would just like to thank the commissioners and Heidi for the family-oriented environment that they provide county departments. It meant a lot to me. I had to take advantage of that, and I appreciate that type of environment at a workplace. And secondly, Carlton, you're a great director, and thank you for your leadership for the county. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Elaine. Congratulations.
Ms. Hughes is what we call on the front line up there at DSS. She's the first one people come in needing assistance sees. Sometimes that goes well, and sometimes it doesn't. We appreciate what you've done.
Item number 2, public hearing. Community Transportation Program grant application. Hear a motion to go into public hearing.
So moved.
All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Ms. Adcock.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm here today requesting the approval of our NCDOT FY 2019 grant. This is for our administrative and capital budget. You know, we just started in this year's budget, but DOT gets a jump on it, so this is where we are on this one. This grant requires a 15% local share for administration and a 10% match for capital. The total amounts ended up this year for being $310,504, making the local share with the 15 and the 10% of $40,526,000. Appreciate the approval of this so that we would be able to continue our services and offer the operation for the county person.
Oh, what happened?
I thought it was.
You muted us probably, so you can't hear us.
I think I'm gone.
We're still here, Ron.
All right, good, thanks.
All right, any questions? Do we have anybody signed up for public comment?
Move to come out of public hearing.
All right, motion on the table to come out of public hearing. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, public hearing is closed. Item number 3, consideration to grant or deny the request for fiscal year 2019 Community Transportation Program grant application.
Move for approval.
There's a motion on the table to approve the grant. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
At this time, we have an informal comment period. We set aside 10 minutes for this. We have 2 people wanting to speak, so 5 minutes apiece. Ms. Frances Blaylock, please.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Frances Blaylock, 1504 Cyril Manterza Road. We all know about bribery. We all know about lobbying, and we all know about political contributions. When some of you were given a political contribution of $500 or $2,000 or $2,500, that person also expected you to embrace his landfill ideology. This person did not advocate for those living near the landfill or for finding a better solution for the county. That person's goal purely was money, money, money. And we really wish we knew what was behind all of this. Over the years, the county has failed to set aside some of this golden money from the trash that has been collected here over the years to help Person County get out from under this filthy giant. So here we are again. If we don't choose the transfer station option, we will be faced with the possibility of a 60-year garbage sentence as described in House Bill 374. This is beyond our imagination. Republic is running unshackled right now. No one knows how much is being dumped. When I counted 10 trucks in a 7-minute trip to Roxborough the other day, I knew that they were increasing their dumping. Counted about 5 a while ago coming in. Just in case some of you Republicans don't know, your party has aligned itself with the landfill giant. I was told that your group had a booth at Personality that was promoting the landfill and that its intention is to influence this board. Again, their goal is money and not the safety and health of the citizens living east of here. So I'm simply bringing this to the attention of citizens, many of whom are Republicans living in landfill territory. Hopefully they will begin calling you out on this issue before you seal another dirty deal. Now to speak on an agenda item that's coming up later. I will not be here, but I will watch it on TV. I've read the House Bill 56 and also 374. And there's a paragraph in House Bill 56 that says that we are not affected by this at this time. We do not have landfill debt. We are under an agreement. And there are 2 paragraphs in that right here, and I'm going to share those with you. First one, if the unit of local government is a party to an exclusive franchise agreement, and we are, with a private entity governing the management of disposal of waste within the jurisdiction, in effect on September 1st, 2017, the unit of local government shall adopt and enforce such an ordinance until the date such franchise has expired. Then further down it says, nothing in this section 17 in this bill shall be construed to impact the terms of contract, franchise agreement, or other agreement between the unit of local government and another entity concerning the management of solid waste, or the financing of such services or related facilities or equipment, in effect on the date this section becomes law. This then does not apply to us now. To put it in simple terms, nothing in this bill right now can change the terms of our current agreement with Republic because it was in effect on the day that this bill became law. This still gives us until 2019 to solve our problem. Solve it with our brains and not our pocketbook. Mr. Powell, I'd like for you to tell us why you think the transfer station is a moot point. From what I can tell, the language in this bill addresses new county-owned landfills, not transfer stations. If you give this facility over to a local company, they will run it and not you. You will not be writing rules telling people where to take their trash. If the transfer station is the only place for garbage, why would you need to tell people where they need to take it anyway? You are simply using double talk here as a way to confuse everyone. Now, it's clear to me, and many people have already contacted me, I got a lot yesterday, we are sticking to asking for the transfer station option, and we do not buy your interpretation of House Bill 56.
Ms. Betty Blaylock?
I actually intended only to speak, to give a report to you on death row. Okay, we have one in Person County, you know. It stretches about 2 miles, a mile and a half, from east of the landfill, northeast, southeast, and east. And I was going to tell you the 2 more who had cancer, who developed a second cancer, one of them. But she died 2 weeks ago. She died 2 weeks ago. But you don't care, I know you don't. And the health department denied it. But then the Cancer Society came out and reported the real truth. But it was one little report in the paper. Heard nothing about else about the Cancer Society in this area. Death row. Every week we have an added one, it seems like, in our church. We're right in the half a mile, the church is, from this monstrosity. And I hadn't planned to talk on trucks. But this morning I couldn't believe it. Usually on the Monday, and I never knew, Mr. Newell asked me one time, why do you think this is? Usually on the Monday morning, when I used to come a lot to the commissioners' meeting, there would be sparse trucks. But boy, they've emboldened, I guess by the article in the paper, now they're emboldened. This morning, on Mount Harmony Church Road, I met one crossing over from the landfill. They're side roads, and they pay no attention to weight limit, by the way. And that was the reason they put in their request before this year that they could use all roads, which was that company in Raleigh that did it, of course, did it for the landfill instead of Person County. You paid them, but they worked for them. I don't know how much they gave them. I one crossed. When I got to 158, I was on there approximately 6.5 to 7 minutes before I got to the Old Durham Road coming into town. I met 12 trucks, big ones. One of them was local. I know the local ones. One of them was local. I met 2 more after I crossed out into Durham Road, or 501. 8 minutes, and they were big trucks. Now that's not counting more who come from the other side. 8 minutes. I could not believe it, but they're emboldened now. So, you know, what are you doing? I mean, what are you doing? We're dying down there. Death row, do you get it? If I sound dramatic, I'm upset. Our prayer list on the church, we got a whole separate page now. Now, not all of them are from the community, but I'm tired of getting up and hearing, well, in Wednesday night prayer meeting, well, so-and-so's got cancer or having tests. One of them had 2 in 8 months, not related cancers, by the way. Healthy woman, but she lives right down there. I'm tired of it. I don't know, you have been sticking your head in the sand, I've said, but now with this new report, which has been falsely interpreted by the paper and by other people, you're saying, well, we have no choice. Yes, you do. Let it go. Don't have a transfer station. Don't have anything. Let it go. And then the private dealers can deal directly with Granville County, because they control what goes in theirs because they own it. They control it. They can say, get out of here, we're not taking your stuff. What's in these trucks? You tell me what's in these trucks. Why are the 3 drivers, bulldozer drivers, deathly ill, the last 3 on that landfill? Why? Why? One has heart, breathing. He was fine. He hunted every week before then. Why? After 2 years of working at that place, why? Heart problems, breathing problems, cancer. He's not back at work. Probably not, will never be. Now, they told one not to talk about it. Don't talk about it. But unfortunately, he told his sister, who is directly affected by this landfill. And by the way, my house is cracked now. About 5 hurricanes have hit in the years I've been there. 2 earthquakes, and we have had 2, by the way. One shook the house so bad in the 70s. But I didn't have a crack in the house. Now I can't even shut my door, and I hope no thieves are listening to this, because I have to put some kind of stop on it every night until I can get it fixed. I'm retired. Even though I'm still on the payroll, I don't get paid unless I work, and I'm 80. And you say, well, of course I know I'm old, and according to the health department in the paper, and you all, since you're old, it doesn't matter. They're over 50, so they're old. But it matters to me. It matters to me a great deal, and I hope I live long enough to see that ungodly monstrosity go. And they're laughing all the way to the bank behind your back. But as long as you get your 10, 15, 20,000, you're okay, I guess. I guess it's okay with you. It's not okay with me. And I've even had to stop thinking. I thought, why doesn't it hit those who are so much for it? Why doesn't the death and the cancer and all that hit them? Now that's horrible. A Christian doesn't think like that. But I mean, it's hard not to wonder why.
All right, item number 4, discussion, adjustment, or approval of the consent agenda. Is there any discussion of the consent agenda?
Move for approval.
There's a motion on the table. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor of the consent agenda, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, ayes have it. Unfinished business, item number 5, additional mental health funding. Ms. Tate, you were asked to take it back and do some research.
Yes. So last time we spoke about this item, we had asked that staff get in touch with the sheriff and find out if we could create a pilot program in the jails to address some substance abuse issues there. And I've spoken with the sheriff, and he has done some research with surrounding counties, and he has determined that if we had approximately $20,000, which we would through this program, we could have a pilot program this year addressing substance abuse issues in the jail. So you'll see in your abstract there's $20,000 set aside for that pilot project. The remaining funds would be spent on naloxone kits and training for first responders, a safe room at the hospital, and then the remaining, what's left over after that would be for drug court, which is slightly over $9,000. Do you have any questions?
Has there been any requests from drug court? I know this last meeting, the bulk of that was going to go to drug court, so
Yes.
have we seen a request?
We have not had anything in writing to my knowledge. We did hear at the Substance Abuse Summit that he did need additional funds.
Given some of the data that Judge Galloway gave at that mental health meeting, I would be inclined to approve this, but take the safe room, $5,000, and also allocate that to drug court. I'm just not sure. As much as we've been diverted from Percy Memorial to go to Durham anyway, and the times I've been there when they're sticking folks in closets and everywhere else just to get room to see someone in the emergency room and things.
Okay.
It's now for profit, and so I just don't see I don't see it being used really, or being a worthwhile venture for us.
Yeah.
Can I speak on that?
Yeah.
I don't know what the intention of the hospital is, but for officer safety and staff safety, if they were willing to do it, that would be my priority. of where it needs to be spent, because we legally, somebody that's under this, you can't handcuff them and shackle them. They are in a very fighting mode, and you as a sick person in that hospital are going to be subject to this person going violent. So that's the reason for the safe room. And like I said, I do not know the intention of the hospital, being that they are private, but that would be safety
Where do
of
those
officers and citizens.
Where do they go now?
We have to stand there. It is actually, once they go in there, they are actually a patient of the hospital. They're not in our custody. Most time what they're doing is medically sedating them to the point that they can actually handle them. But it has been times where they've become violent. They run frequently. We have to go get them. And it's very borderline on how we can treat them, because they're not in custody as far as a criminal attempt. So we have to deal with them with, you know.
How are you all trained to tell the difference in someone that needs to be detained, or someone that's mentally ill, or someone that's a threat to public safety?
Their actions, and they can turn on the instant. Their actions, the way they're doing it, sometimes, I don't know if you've ever seen anybody that's on this, but they can be just as calm one second, the next second they're fighting. It takes everything that you got to try to control them. We see it way too often.
How many hours of officer time is spent observation at the hospital?
What we're trying to do, and we've worked out, the first hour that they're there is an observation period to see how the person is. And if they're calm at that point, the officer actually leaves. And like I say, at that time, they're technically under the doctor's care, the nurse's care, while they're there. We have left, everything was calm, and then sometimes later, a lot of times later, we have to go back because they've become violent.
And with a safe room, would your officer have to be there, or would the safe room be adequate for observation with the hospital staff?
My understanding, it would be the hospitals that do have safe rooms, because they have security that's on site, they have people. I mean, that would be a contained area where everybody else is at least safe if we're not on site, to where we have time to respond back to assist.
So do we know if the hospital is willing to do this, or was our idea, or do they have an area picked out, or what?
Yes, I've spoken with the hospital. I spoke with the CEO when we originally wrote that grant that we were looking at getting through SAMHSA. They were very interested in the idea.
The new CEO, or the one that's we wrote that grant? Have we had a change in CEO since
have
then?
we? I'm not sure. I think it's the same line. I think, yeah, it's the same CEO. And then before I came before you for this abstract, I spoke again with the hospital. So I spoke with, through the CEO, I was put in touch with another manager over there who is very interested in having a safe room.
So is this funded in full, or are they planning to put money toward it too, or what?
This would just be for one safe room. This would be for the equipment and the locking system, just for one safe room. So they did express interest in, you know, I told them that this would be the max amount of money. So if there are additional things, then they said that they would fill in the gaps.
Is there any way that we can hold them to it?
We could have an MOA, I guess, with them, and Ron can advise us on how we might do that. Absolutely.
Well, I won't go against the high sheriff on this. He deals with them more than I do.
Yeah, I think for the citizens of Person County, that it's good that we have a local hospital, and I think partnering with them and keeping the people of our community who actually go to the hospital, keeping them safe while they're there is a priority that this board should have. And so I think the safe room would be a good thing. And again, if it saves several hours every year of our responders that could be out doing patrols and things of that nature, I think we're better off to utilize them at that rather than in an observation mode. So I'm for the safe room myself.
Do we still have representation on their board or no?
The hospital board?
No.
Sure.
Any further discussion?
Move for approval.
Got a motion on the table to approve
with the understanding that that money has to be used for a safe room.
Yes.
All right, we have a motion on the table for additional mental health funding with the exception that the safe room has to be utilized with the $5,000 that we put with it. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? All right, ayes have it. Item number 6, sale of the old senior center surplus property. Ms. Tate again.
Okay, Commissioners, this is a follow-up from their sale of surplus property. As you know, we are going through we've completed the upset bid process for the old hotel property, and that closing was completed last week. And we have come to a conclusion on the old senior center. We advertised for new upset bids, and we did not receive any. So the final price for that is $3,000, and the final bid came from Northern Piedmont Bible Institute. So at this point, our request is that you authorize the sale of that property, and the clerk and the county attorney can handle all the documentation. Of course, you always have the right to reject any bids at any time during this process, so that is another option available to you. But at this point, if you're satisfied with the bid, then you can complete the sale.
Are there any questions for Ms. Tate? Ms. Tate, I understand that this Piedmont Bible Institute is currently already in existence and operating?
That's my understanding. They're looking for
They're
a
inside of
location.
Person County already.
I believe so.
my understanding,
Yes.
It sounds like they've outgrown their current space and was looking for a larger space, and it was my understanding they're interested in the main floor of the senior center and not be utilizing the upstairs or the basement area.
Any further discussion or questions? What's the pleasure of the board?
Move for approval.
All right, we have a motion on the table. Is there any further discussion? All in favor of selling the old senior center surplus property to Northern Piedmont Bible Institute, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? All right. Item number 7, impact of new legislation on Person County waste. County Attorney Ron Aycock, you're on the pedestal.
I am always trying to make sure that I can be heard well. Can I be?
Yes, you're projecting well. Thank you.
Very good. There's been some discussion at the public comment period about the new legislation acted by the General Assembly a week and a half ago. That legislation has been, some form of it has been pending for a couple of years. Finally enacted both elements of it this last special short session. It affects landfill transfer stations in 2 ways. One is that it affects the ability of the county to direct the flow of waste to a specific site, whether it be a transfer station or a landfill. Secondly, it affects for how long the state may issue a permit for operation of a transfer site or a landfill. Currently, the transfer, I'm going to move away for a moment from transfer stations. Generally, same rules apply, but since we have an existing contract for a landfill operation, I will refer mostly to the landfill provisions. Currently, the state's permitting for a landfill is conditioned on lots of material certified as to impact, and it is conditioned on a franchise from the county for the same period as any permitted landfill. Thus, if you have a permit for a franchise for 20 years, the state's permit would be for 20 years. And under current law, the county can require that all waste within the county go to the permitted facility. First impact of the legislation was on flow control. unless certain conditions are met, the county would cease to have the ability to direct that waste go to a specific specific landfill. Conditions which would permit the county to continue to direct the flow would include, as it applies to us, if you have an existing franchise. As you recall, the county has a contract with the Republic which expired June 30, 2017, but that contract allowed the county to extend that contract for a 10-year period in no less than 1 year increments. This board decided to extend the contract for a 1 year period expiring June 30th, 2018. They also enacted a franchise for the same period. Under the new law, can continue to direct the flow during the term of the franchise. So, if the county elects to extend the period for the landfill beyond June 30th, 2018, then that would not be an existing franchise at the time the legislation was enacted, therefore could not direct the flow of waste under any new franchise and contract. There is another provision that comes into play as well, and that is what I have designated life of site. You recall the current law requires the contract or the permit issued by the state to be the same period for the same period as a franchise. This new legislation changes that rule and provides that a new permit issued by the state still must be supported by a county franchise, but is not limited to the term of the franchise. Instead, the limit of the permit is for what is defined as life of site, which is a calculation of how much space is left in the permit before it's filled up legally. My recollection in the Republic site, and Ms. Tate can correct me, Ms. York, that the estimated life in the existing landfill is approximately 30 more years. So if you are not moving to a not having the contract and you extend 1 more year, the effect of that 1 more year extension may be to have them to apply for a permit from the state for the life of the site, which may be up to 25 to 30 years, how much time is left. Now, the state does, in fact, still have requirements that it will impose in permitting. It is not absolutely automatic that they would get a permit for the full 30-year period, but they would have the expectation that they could do so. As far as flow control also restricts the ability of the county to direct waste to a transfer site. Now, we understand that the city has probably had independent authority to elect whether to send its waste to any new transfer site, but clearly this new law would make it absolute that the city could not be restricted as to where it might send its waste. They could elect, obviously, to send the waste to any new transfer facility, or they could elect to send it somewhere else. As to flow control outside the county, this whole new law has to be clear intensely studied and regulations issued. It's my opinion that flow control would prohibit, for example, Dicker County, Orange County, from saying all of its waste must go to Orange County, and in fact, some of it may be sent outside. So the flow control not only is likely to have an effect on the direction of the flow of waste from Person County, but very well could allow direction or contract by the Republic to receive waste from outside the county. We have the question about the limitations in our existing contract, which prohibits receipt of waste from Raleigh and Durham agencies and prohibits receipt of waste beyond 60 miles. There's a real question whether the 60 miles would be effective if we have a new contract. I have gone through essentially all of the new legislation and its potential effects on counties' operations, but I'm sure I have not thought of all the potential, so I'll be glad to attempt to respond to any questions for this.
Are there any questions for Ron?
So I failed to understand how the transfer station would be not an option anymore. I understand we cannot direct the flow to Granville County, but what stops we were talking about having a private hauler or private company operate the transfer station. They could then work out their own contract or deal with Granville County. If I can understand, if the county was running it, we couldn't say it has to go here, here, here. But am I wrong in my understanding?
If I understand your question and observation, Mr. Jeffries, it was that if the county elected to have a transfer station and then contracted its operation to a private entity, would this legislation impact that option? It probably would not impact the option so long as it was understood that that transfer station could receive waste from wherever the private entity wanted to receive.
I understand. Second question, if we were to go back into negotiations with Republic right now, I guess it's my understanding that if we did, then that possibly would mean the life of site are up to 6 years. Is that correct?
That is my understanding. There are lots of individual details that the state requires in the permit which may impact that length, but that's a generalized law that the new state permit would be for life of site up to the 60 years. A question that will occur is it really a new permit or only an amendment to the existing permit? Something that is not clear in the legislation will be worked out in the regulations by the state. And I can't give you any legal analysis because we don't know what might happen.
So we would not have control over that as far as life of site, and then we would not have control over where it comes from and what radius. Would you have control? Would you have control over the limit, the amount? Like now we take 660 tons a day. Would you be able to put that in a contract, or would they be able to take what they want until they fill it up?
I believe that contracts could control the limit, but again, there are so many unanswered questions. We'll have to research that some more. I believe that we could contractually limit it, but we'll have to see how that analyzes. I believe we could.
Okay.
Any further questions for Ron? All right. Is there any action that the board would like to take? All right. Hearing none, chairman's report. Good week. Everything went well. No issues. Nothing to report on my part. Ms. York.
Just wanted to make the board aware that Golden Leaf has a regional prosperity zone grant available to several counties around here. They are due on Friday. They require the county manager to rank order the requests, and so we will be submitting 2 grant requests, one from Piedmont Community College for approximately $400,000 related to their technology needs, and another one from Economic Development related to the Person County mega site, and those are due on Friday. So I'll be working on those this week and calling you to talk about the local match portion and make sure that you're comfortable with what we submit. That's all I had.
Is it like most grants, a typical 10%?
I think the instructions in the grant applications say that they will be more strongly considered if there's a 20% local match on them.
So for PCC, 800,000 would come out approximately, about 80,000.
About 80,000 is what they're asking for. They're putting in, the community college is proposing to put in about 57,000, so they have a little bit more than a 20% local match if you add the 2, Person County and Piedmont Community College, together.
Anything from Ms. York? All right, Commissioner Jeffers.
I'm on that Telamon board that does our workforce development now.
Mhm.
They came a few months ago and needed somebody from the board, and I don't know if I volunteered or was that, but
voluntold.
They were so gracious to name me as chairman, so that's just more responsibility. But it takes care of our 3 counties, Person, Castle, and Rockingham County. And so they are getting ready to update some information. Because a lot of the information they have, I guess, dealing with our workforce, some of it is old, some of the companies are no longer in existence, and they name Progress Energy instead of Duke. So some of that stuff that they're going to ready to go through and change. So I don't know if I need to get with or have them get with Stewart or who to get that current information and how many people they employ and so on and so on.
We have a new software program that Stewart has where he can, in an instant, pull that data for them and generate a report.
Okay.
So if they could get with him, that would be easy.
Okay. Well, that's forthcoming, so we're getting ready to do that, and they're going to have some stuff kind of come out this next coming fiscal year for them, since we just kind of got the board. And we have some openings, but we have some openings for some community people, and especially some people that are in low-income housing. And so if you know anybody that's willing to serve, we need them on this board.
Thank you, Ray. Commissioner Clayton.
I want to make a comment on that House Bill 56. One of the things I wanted to comment was the Association of Commissioners opposed that because of the things that you all just heard Ron talking about, that it took away from the local government's authority to do. And they sent an email out the other week that it was a very close vote on the veto, and that the Representative Chuck McGrady from Henderson County is a Republican, and he was formerly a county commissioner in that county, and he opposed it for that reason, and he's a pretty big fellow over there in the state house. And Terry Garrison from Vance County both argued against overriding the veto because of the things in the bill that would it says it would financially harm counties and taxpayers. And so I just wanted to point that out, that some of these things they're passing over there in the General Assembly are slowly chipping away at the county's authority to do lots of things. And this is just one example of it, but I did want to mention that it was kind of interesting that you had I call Vance almost a eastern county and a mountain county, stuck the neck out to say, look, we were county commissioners for years, and we really would like for y'all to try to look out for the counties.
No report. Commissioner Powell.
I did attend several of the events for the Race Unity Week this past week, including yesterday, and delivered the proclamation approved by this board back on, I believe, October 2nd. So did take that to them yesterday and commend their efforts in the week and promoting race unity, and appreciate all those folks and their time spent on this. Thank you.
All right. At this time, I'd entertain a motion to enter into closed session per General Statutes 143-318.11A3 to consult with attorney on General Statutes 143-318.11A5 to establish or instruct the public body staff or negotiating agents concerning the position to be taken by or on behalf of the public body in negotiating the price and other material terms of a contract with the following individuals permitted to attend: County Manager Heidi York, Clerk to the Board Brenda Reeves, County Attorney Ron Aycock by phone, and Assistant County Manager Sybil Tate.
So moved.
All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 All opposed? Ayes have it. You got a